friends, welcome back to the Quack House. My name is Anna and I am the maker behind Quack House Crochet. So glad to have you back here with me. So today is July 11th. I actually have a market tomorrow. It is more local to us. It's at one of the local like strip mall situations, but they have this huge indoor space that they have turned into like a weekly indoor market. And so this will be our first time ever being vendors over at this. A lot of the vendors that we know from the other local market and that we were vending with over at that Maricopa night market that I had here as like my second video, they recommended this place to us. So we reached out to the organizer, we got a space for tomorrow, and we're super excited to see how we do. But today what needs to be done is I need to go through my inventory, not necessarily like tag things up, because the majority of the stuff that I have is already tagged from the big Maricopa market we went to. We've got a ton of inventory, so I don't need to do a lot of making. I kind of want to do a few more of like the mini octos, just because, you know, they're a real quick like $6 toy, they're a real quick make. But other than that, I don't really want to add to my inventory. I've got everything, like I said, that I brought to Maricopa. I've got some of the new makes that I did from the Follow the Love or Share the Love Instagram challenge. So I kind of want to get some of those tagged up and see how they do and see what the response is to them, so I can see if I want to continue making them for future markets. So that is what we're going to do today, and I'd love to take you along with me to kind of see what my process is, not only to maybe inspire some of you, but also to get some tips and pointers, right? This is about, I want to say like my 6th or 7th market, but I am by no means an expert. So any tips, comments that you have, drop them down below in the comments. I am more than happy to receive that knowledge from you. All right. So the first thing is first though, I don't know if you can tell, but even though my office is only 3 weeks old, it's already kind of a mess. I have a 3-year-old, and she loves to come in and see all of the fun new things mommy is creating and mommy is making. And as such, there are toys all over the place. So first things first, I'm going to pick that up, get that mess kind of taken care of, and then we'll start sorting through inventory, because what happened was, I think by the time the Maricopa night market was over, we were just kind of done. And instead of putting things back into bags and making sure they were separated and nice, it was just kind of a let's just dump them all in the bags and get out of here situation. So that's the order of business today. Clean up the space, get the inventory organized. There are a few things I think I want to adjust some prices on, so we may do that. Update the inventory in Square to just make sure that it's accurate and reflecting what we actually do have, and then tag a couple of these items, and if there's time left over after that, maybe make a couple of baby octos. I do have friends coming over tonight. We've got some friends coming over for dinner tonight because, you know, I'm a masochist and I love chaos. So one thing to add to my schedule on top of a market day, why not, right? It's still pretty early in the morning. They're not coming over till about 5:30 or 6. Yeah, so I better get started, because also the other thing is, right, my daughter is awake, so who knows how much time I have to actually do things and focus on them before I get interrupted. Let's go on this journey together, shall we? All right, so that wasn't so bad. The only things I have left on my little table over here are things that I actually need to finish off. I've got some scrunchies that I need to weave the ends into, and then I'm still going to use this space use that space to re-tag or tag some of the items that don't already have tags. But before I do that, what I want to do is go through these bags of inventory. I've got about 4 of them filled with stuff, and they're not by any means jam-packed. They're just, you know, they've just got stuff in them. but I would like to go through all 4 of these bags. Like I said, at my last market, as we were shutting down for the day, we did not, I think because we were just kind of over it, we did not actually go and separate things and get them like we normally try to like put things together, like if we have multiples, or kind of put them into categories. That helps us to set up a lot easier. But we didn't do that last time. So now I've got the task of going through all of these bags, pulling out stuff that I want to retag or reprice. Like these mesh bags, I think I'm going to reprice them. There are also some things that I want to just verify the quantities of, either because, you know, the sale wasn't recorded because they were traded items or things like that. That way I can get an updated inventory count. And then just kind of, like I said, regroup things so that they're all together, so that when we do have setup tomorrow, it's a lot easier. The other thing I need to do is, because tomorrow is an indoor market, I need to go through the notes from the organizer again and just kind of verify what we're allowed to have. So like, do I have a 10 by 10 space, or do I have a 6 by 6, or, you know, some other sized space? I need to verify if they're providing any tables, if we're allowed to have side displays. This is my first time at that market. So I want to get all of that information. I know it's in the email that they provided to us and in the info packet. I just need to refresh my memory because it's been a while since I've looked at it. And by a while, I mean like Tuesday, and it's Friday, right? But that's forever ago with the toddler mom brain. So I'll stop jabbing. I'll start working on this because, like I said, we've got company coming over later. And yeah, enjoy the time lapse. Okay, we're finished. I was able to take everything and group them into similar categories, make sure all of the like items were together, and I took some notes on my little notebook. There are obviously some things like my Pokemon series that are one-offs, so I know I've only got one because I didn't sell those, but other things like how many keychains I have, right? Like I wasn't sure necessarily how many I still had after my last market, so I wanted to make sure I had taken count going into this next market so I can have an accurate inventory on my square and as I report back to you. What we're going to do now is I've pulled out some items that are here on my desk with me, and these are things that either they need to be re-tagged or maybe they need to be repaired, or like in the case of my scrunchies, right? These are things that I have more inventory of that I am going to like finish off, like weaving in ends. I wanted to do a couple of mini octos again because it's been a while since I have restocked these guys, and I'm trying something different with the tentacles this time, which I actually like a lot better than what I was doing previously. So I wanted to get some of these restocked and some scrunchies restocked, and I wanted to talk a little bit about, you know, I just finished saying like, oh, I'm not going to crochet anything else other than like a few little restocks because I've got 3 bags of inventory. That's way more than enough. But like as I'm going through inventory, right, I notice like, oh shoot, I've only got 2 mini chicken keychains, or I've only got 2 Ninja Turtles left and I need the other colors, right? So even though I know I've got a ton of inventory, especially for like the size of the little market that we're going to, there's this consistent like nagging in the back of my head that like I need to do more, I need to have more variety, I need to put more on my table because, right, like if I've got the red and blue Ninja Turtle, what if somebody wants the orange one? So let me know down in the comments below if you're like that as well. It is something I am really trying to work with myself on. So I need to be okay as I walk into markets with just what I have being enough. I actually have about 3 what I think will be larger markets towards the end of the year. I have one in October, one in November, and one in December. And so I have some time now where I can start picking away at the things I need to prepare for those markets, but I've also got custom orders I need to take care of. And then I do pattern tests sometimes on occasion when I get lucky, right? Pattern tests in and of themselves don't take up much of my time, but when I do have them, I want to do the best job I possibly can for these creators, and I want to make sure I meet deadlines and things like that. I would love to do more of that, right? And so I just got to learn, like I said, that sometimes what you have already is enough, and if they see the red and blue Ninja Turtle and they want the orange one, that's the opportunity to say like, hey, well, here's my business card, here's my Etsy, here's my Instagram, please feel free to connect with me. I'd love to do that for you. And to have another interaction with them outside of just the market. So I need to be a little more forgiving with myself, I guess, a little more kind to myself. But the biggest thing is that I also want to just make sure I'm making more time to be present with my family. Before I had a daughter, I was really bad about, honestly, I was kind of a workaholic. I was the person who would always volunteer for overtime, come in early, stay back late. And so adding a second business on top of like a regular 9 to 5 has been one of those things where it's like, yeah, I work 9 to 5, but then I also tend to spend a lot of my free time doing this, right? Like crocheting, getting projects done, because I constantly have this drive of like, I need to get it done. I need to get it done. I need more. I need more. And so the last day or two, actually, I've been really intentional about like, so my office is upstairs. my family primarily, you know, lives downstairs. Like that's where the living room, the kitchen, all of that stuff is. So like yesterday, for example, I took my yarn downstairs where I was, you know, when I was making scrunchies, and just stayed down there with them just to like kind of be in the same space as they were. And then as my daughter, you know, would come up and be like, Mommy, let's do dance party, or Mommy, sing a song with me, or, you know, look at this insane thing I'm doing. Like I stopped doing what I was doing, and I took the time to be present with them. It's about 5 minutes until 2 o'clock. We've got some friends coming over at about 5:36 for dinner. So the meat's already marinating. I just got to make some rice and some potatoes and some salad. And you know, I just want to straighten up downstairs a little bit. So I also have to put the small one down for a nap because she had some chocolate milk late in the afternoon, and that was a parenting mistake. But let me get this inventory updated. Let me try to get her down for a nap. Maybe I'll prioritize seeing what I can do downstairs first, because like I said, all of this is basically taken care of. The only thing I really like have to do is sew up the bottom, or like close up the bottom of these two baby octopus. And honestly, if I don't get to anything else, then I don't get to anything else, right? Because I've got a lot of inventory, and I'll update you on what that official number and like dollar amount is once I'm done updating my Square app. 11 o'clock. This place is definitely popping, but still no sales.
No sales?
Yeah, no sales. My daughter's like, still no sales? Right, girl?
Let's go ahead. Let's spin the wheel.
Spin the wheel. We don't have a wheel.
Let's go ahead. Let's spin the wheel.
Just go ahead and spin the wheel. That's what we did, and we landed on bankrupt. 11:23, and we made 2 sales. We sold one pocket dragon for $12 to the other crochet vendor that's across from us, which was very sweet. We bought a gummy bear from her. One of the in-laws from one of the other vendors, she came over and she bought my white loaf kitten with like the rainbow accents and then a rainbow bee. So we finally made a sale. We made our booth fee back, which is good. But if you consider the money we spent on food and stuff like that, so hopefully I'm still optimistic. So we'll see how it goes. 12:05. We sold a sitting chicken, which is not a Mabel, and another rainbow bee. So not bad. Another $35 added to the total. Still haven't broke $100, but we've got 2 more hours and it looks like more people are coming in. So optimism is the key, my friends. Optimism. At least that's what I'm telling myself. My mom also came by and picked up my daughter. She was very sleepy. Oh, we sold something else. I don't remember now what it was, but we sold something else. A little family came by and they bought something else. It was a sitting bee. I'll pop a picture up here because I know how to do that now. The time is 1:40 p.m. We've got 20 more minutes until market ends and no additional sales. I don't think so. Yeah. Pretty sure we haven't sold anything else. Had a couple of cute customers come by. Like there was a mom and a daughter who came by and inquired about doing a custom cat. There was another couple that came by and said they'd like to possibly purchase a dragon, like the big Empyrean dragons that I do for $125, or the no-sew dragons that I do from Crochet by Jenna for $60. But like I never want to like count those sales unless it's like, here's my contact information. Let me contact you about a custom order. You know what I mean? I just don't want to get my hopes up. It's okay. I've got a couple of custom orders I need to work on once I'm done with this market, but still been a nice day. And like, it's always nice to come out to markets and interact with customers, but a slow day, like for sales. So we'll see. Maybe someone will come in the last 20 minutes, right? Buy me out. Just buy out my entire stock. I'm manifesting it. Hey friends, it is Sunday, July 13th. I am back. My market was yesterday over at it's like an outdoor shopping mall area place. You probably already know from the title, but we didn't do great. And as I was looking back on the clips, I realized I was kind of being like a Debbie Downer. And I was being like a little discouraged, I guess, because and I'll break the numbers down for you later, but if you really look at it, we probably made nothing by coming out to this market. This was our first time at this market, but check-in was real easy. We just came in. I hadn't prepaid my booth fee, so handed in my payment for the booth fee. They told us what number booth we were, and we just rolled our wagon and our cart over to that area and started getting set up. It was nice because all of the spaces were numbered. They were all outlined with like blue tape, so you knew exactly where your borders started and ended. And we actually got placed next to the bathrooms and next to some other vendor friends of ours. And really cool, we got placed next to a big post that actually had electricity, like a plug-in, so that if we had needed it, we could have plugged in there. So that was all really great. The unfortunate part of where we were placed was that we actually got placed right across from another crochet vendor, and she was the sweetest thing. As she was setting up, she looked over and she was like, "I am so sorry." And you know, I was like, don't even worry about it. Like, first of all, I've never been one to be like, oh, let's go, you know, scope out the competition and tear them down and things like that. But I'm always more of a community person. But even if that was the case, right, like, she had no idea. She had absolutely no control over where they placed vendors. So it absolutely was not her fault. That is, I guess, one of the qualms, or one of the, I don't know, it wasn't even like a peeve, I guess, but one of the things with this market is that on the actual vendor application, it states that there are only going to be 2 of each kind of vendor. Well, I know that there was already a crochet vendor there previously, so I was definitely anticipating at least them to be there. And I was going to be the second one, I guess. In my mind, that's how it worked out. And then as we got there, you know, knowing that there was an additional person, so it's like, oh, okay, well, I guess they broke their own rule or whatever. They play like pretty fast and loose with that rule. But you know, the truth of the matter is that like all of our stuff is so different. It doesn't really, I felt like it wouldn't really matter anyway. The market organizer said that there were 137 vendors there that day. And while I definitely think I definitely feel like there were 100 or more, I also know that there were people who didn't show up. For example, the slot right next to us was empty. And one of our other vendor friends had mentioned that, oh, I think the balsamic guy is going to be right next to you, because apparently there is a guy who comes over and he does, like, you know, the balsamic vinaigrettes or the balsamic vinegars and things like that. And she was super excited that he was going to be there, and then bummed because I guess he was supposed to be in the space next to us and that space was vacant, so he obviously never showed up. So it's very possible that there were some vendors who didn't show up, but there were a lot of people there, in terms of both vendors and people walking through. They did a great job of posting signage of like, hey, we've got this event that's going on down in this big empty vacant area that we have. Like, everybody, I won't say everybody knew, but like they did a really good job of posting signs and directing people over to where the market was. And then I guess even if you didn't see the signs as you were driving in, if you saw the food trucks, you would see that there were people coming in and out of the vacant store area. So really, really great setup, very organized market. It was just one of those things where we didn't get a lot of sales. And I just actually finished watching the video from Notting Hook Crochet. She said she had kind of a slow market, although her market generated like 3 times the business of what our market generated. She brought up a couple of good points. You know, it is the weekend after the 4th of July, so people may have just spent a lot of money taking their kids out, taking their families out, cookouts, trips, entertaining during the long weekend and stuff like that. So people may still be recovering from that. Also, we are in that season of back to school time. So people are, you know, they're not thinking about crochet plushies. Like, that is not top of mind on their shopping list. They're thinking of snacks, lunches, uniforms, clothes, backpacks, school supplies, new shoes, right? All of those things that come with sending your kids back to school. The very first thing that left our table was actually a trade with another vendor. And I promise I didn't trade away my inventory this time, but I traded one of our little All From Jade, the little fidget caterpillars. We had a few of those, and there is a face painting vendor that my daughter really enjoys every single time we do a market, my daughter wants to get her face painted. And at this market in particular, these people who paint faces, the woman who does it, she does such a great job. And like I said, we're such repeat customers that they had actually previously taken a picture of my daughter, and so my daughter is up on their banner. So as I was going to pay her, because my Mr. Quack House had taken our girl over there, and then I followed up to go and pay her while we continued to set up, because their setup is very minimal. I was like, oh, did he pay you yet? What do I owe you? And she was like, no, absolutely not. Don't even worry about it. And I just felt bad, you know, because I get it. Like I said, we're all trying to make it here. So she was like, your daughter's on our banner. Don't even worry about it. So what I did was I went back to my booth, and I picked a couple of things up and brought them over and showed them to her daughter. Ultimately, she chose that fidget caterpillar, and then one of my other vendor friends came over and she helped me take the safety eyes out, because their daughter was, I think their daughter's like a little over 1. She's like 1.5 or something, but you know, the safety eyes weren't safe for her. So that vendor friend helped me remove the safety eyes so that they were safe for that little girl and she could enjoy it. And that was our trade for the day. This event started at 9 a.m. Guys, my first actual sale wasn't till 11 o'clock. It was like 11:11. So that was my wish, was that we got our first sale. And it was to the other crochet vendor who was right across from us, the really, really sweet one. We had gone over to her booth earlier and we got like a little gummy bear. My daughter really liked the gummy bears, and of course she wanted a pink one. So we picked up a pink gummy bear. And then came back to our booth, and later on she came over and she bought one of the small pocket dragons from Avalon. That's the pattern from Avalon Crochets. So that was really sweet of her. And then she was wearing this cute mushroom hat, and I was like, oh, you made the mushroom hat, it was so cute. She's like, no, I actually bought it from the other vendor. So you could definitely tell she's really into like the community over competition spirit as well, and I love that, right? Like, we're all just trying to make it, doing something that we love to do. The next one was a really fun one. So the in-law of the face painting people, one of their in-laws, actually, she came over and she ended up purchasing a rainbow bee from me and a loaf kitten. And this was the loaf kitten. I do like the spotted ear variation, but this one was like the body was all white, and then I used the some colorful variegated yarn and did the spotted ear and like little stripes in the tail. So she said she absolutely loved that, so she got a rainbow bee and a rainbow kitten from me. And guys, bees were the MVP, specifically the rainbow bees, but I didn't make a lot of sales, but the majority of the things I did sell on this day were bees, and I'll get into it in just a little bit. So she bought a rainbow bee and a rainbow kitten from me, and that was like a $30 sale because I sell each of those things for $15. So that and the pocket dragon that I made, it was like, okay, I've made my booth fee back. And at that point I was like, all right, you know, this market's going till 2. We're gonna get our spirits up. It's gonna happen. We're gonna get a rush. And we definitely did get a lot of attention and a lot of people who came over and looked at our stuff. A lot of really nice people who were like, your stuff is so beautiful, or I've never seen these things before. Our Cheeky Patrick got a lot of attention. Stitch got a lot of attention. Of course, our dragons got a lot of attention, but those are a higher price item because they're so large. So after the rainbow bee and the rainbow kitten sold, one of my sitting bees sold. I cannot remember for the life of me who this pattern is by, but it is a free pattern on Instagram. I will pop the maker's name right here, and then I'll show you a picture of the version that I do right here. I make them in a size 7 yarn. I actually use Sweet Snuggles or chenille home, not the slim, like the weight 7 one. And I make them not only in yellow and black, but also in yellow and brown. And the yellow and brown one, or one of the yellow and brown ones, sold. The next sale I made was actually my absolute last sale from the day, and that was at like 12:05. So all of my sales happened in an hour between like 11 and 12 o'clock, and then after that and before that I made absolutely no sales. But the very last sale I made for the day was a rainbow bee, and then one of my, I call them sitting chickens or squishy chickens, so they're not the Mabels. I think this is by Stitch by Faye or the Friendly Red Fox. It's one of those. I'll pop the maker's name down here below. But again, another free pattern. I do have the Mabel chickens, but so does everybody else. So I wanted something that was a little bit different. I sell these for $20 because they take a little bit more work, but they're still pretty quick. And guys, that's literally it. That is all I sold. So I traded one item and I sold 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 items. And of those 6 items, 3 of them were bees. They were some variation of bee. I had $87.65 of sales recorded on Square. My fees for Square were $2.72. So my net transactions were $84.93. I had a $12 sale in cash. That brought me to a total of $96.93. My booth fee for this event was $40. So that technically leaves me, if you don't count material costs and things like that, with a profit of $56.93. But really, if you take into account, right, we bought lemonade, we bought lunch there, that's all our own fault. We could have obviously brought our own food and drinks and stuff like that. But you know, if you take into account all of that, yeah, I didn't make a thing. I made no money, no profits. And so I was kind of sitting here like, should I even make this video? Like, should I even share it? But you know what? Why not, right? Because this is the reality. This is the reality of markets. Sometimes you win some, sometimes you lose some. And this time we lost some. It's always fun to go out and to watch people just light up when you see their faces and when they see the things that you have made. Don't get me wrong, my daughter is impressed by all of it. But she's kind of an easy critic. I was a little bit bummed at first, but by the end of the market, I don't know, my spirits were still high. It was still such a fun event to go to. So something fun that did happen while I was at the market was I got some cool ideas for videos. So one of our vendor friends, or I say everyone's my friend, right? Like we know these people from vending, but one of our vendor neighbors that we know, that we've met several times before, he actually came up, him and his wife do like coffee and tea. And so he came up to me and he's like, hey, could you crochet me a coffee bean? And he kind of showed me what his mascot or like his logo looked like. And I was like, yeah, I could do that. I could absolutely do that. And it gave me this cool idea. So I'm thinking about starting it. Nobody stole my idea. Look, I'm just a small YouTube creator, okay? I'm one away. The last time I checked, I was one away from 100 subscribers, by the way. So thank you everybody who showed me so much love on the last video from the Share the Love Instagram challenge. That was so appreciated. And it was like, oh my gosh, I went from like 20 subscribers to 77. And then the next time I checked, I was at 99. So thank you all so much. Maybe we're even at 100 today. I don't know. I'm not sure. I can double check. But yeah, thank you all so much. But anyway, back to the story. I constantly tell people I am like the Rose Nyland of the group, of any group that I'm in, right? I tell 87 St. Olaf stories before I get to the final story. But anyway, I think I'm going to start a series here where I go out and I try to crochet mascots or logos or like an associated item for some of our vendor and small business neighbors and friends that we constantly see. Let me know down in the comments below if you guys would be interested in seeing that series, because I think it would be fun. I think it would be cute. And then I could pull some patterns or maybe try to freestyle some myself. Another idea I got was, and Stacy Makes actually had a live chat today and they were talking about the Share the Love challenge, and there was this debate about whether or not something was a chick or a duck, or you know what I mean. But anyway, all of that to say, I got this idea. What if I redid the Share the Love challenge, not having been nominated by anybody, just again inviting myself to the party, but I did all duck patterns, right? Because it's Quack House Crochet, we gotta stay on brand. So let me know if you guys would be interested in that. Kind of, I guess, like a free duck pattern roundup, but in the spirit of like the Share the Love Instagram challenge. See, so the market wasn't for nothing. I got some good content ideas out of it. At least I think they're good content ideas. I'll see if my subscriber number goes down instead of going up. But yeah, that's it from me. If you guys liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, comment down below. All of that engagement really helps in the growth of my channel. If you liked those video ideas, or if you have any that you would like to see me try, please feel free to drop that in the comments down below. If you've ever had a summer bummer or just a bummer in general market, let me know, you know, how you guys dealt with that and what your feelings were, and hopefully it didn't discourage you from crocheting. Let me know how I can encourage you, like re-encourage you and get you back on the hook. Literally. All right guys, thanks for hanging out with me here in the flock. We'll see you again next time. Bye.